respect, honor, and loyalty. The accidental gangster.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for checking out American Made. Today, I have a very special guest who I'm excited to speak to him about his life in and around the mafia. He came to be known as a Hollywood fixer and was associated with some of the biggest names in that life, people like Sonny Franzese and Jimmy Kachi. He's also an author of the book, The Accidental Gangster, and I look forward to talking a little bit about his life. My guest today is Ori Spado. Ori, how are you doing, man? Thanks for being here.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, man. Man, like I mentioned just a minute ago, I've been kind of refreshing your book, reading through your book, and man, it's a lot of exciting stories in there, and I'm glad to have you here to maybe go over a little bit of that with you today.
My pleasure. I like your setup there, very patriotic, and I love your name. You know, I'm a veteran. I'm a proud veteran. And served this country well and honorably. And that's one of my greatest things that I've done.
Yep. Yeah, I read about that in your book, and like I said, there's so much information and so many stories in there. Now, a lot of people watching this are probably somewhat familiar with your story, but just to recap for people who may not know, can you talk a little bit about where you're from and maybe a little bit about your childhood?
I was born in a small town in upstate New York, Rome, New York. I had a great childhood. I have no complaints about it. I had mom and dad, 2 brothers, 3 sisters. We lived in a duplex home at 215 West Liberty Street. My school was on the next block, Behringer School. And I was a kid in the neighborhood that went after bullies. And as a child, I was always for the underdog. And I still am to this day. At the age of 18 years old, I joined the United States Army. And I served 3 years very proudly. Upon my release, I went back to Rome, where after various jobs, I ended up in the insurance business with the Prudential Insurance Company. And I did extremely well. I was a member of the $1 Million Round Table. And I really loved it. I did great. And then I had my own agency, the Orie agency. But through the years, I was meeting different people. I met Frank Costello, Meyer Lansky. I met Russell Buffalino.
Wow.
He was, like Joe Pesci played him in The Irishman. I met Carlo Marcello in New Orleans. And Angelo Bruno from Philadelphia arranged that meeting. So I knew a lot of people before I met Sonny Franzese. But it was Sonny that, everybody clings me to because we were on the same indictment.
Right.
I knew Sonny close to 50 years before he passed away at the age of 103. And I was talking to him right up to 3 days before his death. And out here in Los Angeles, my dearest friend was Jimmy Kachi, originally from Buffalo. And Jimmy was the underboss of Los Angeles family. So and it was a funny situation because you got a guy that I consider myself a renegade.
Mm-hmm.
But, Sonny was my friend Becky. Jimmy, my friend here, and they would argue. Jimmy go, "You're with me. You're in California. Fuck Sonny Franzese." Sonny would say, "Fuck Jimmy Kachi. You're with me." And finally, I introduced the two of them in New York at Feinstein's on Park Avenue, because Jimmy's brother was Bobby Milano. His real name was Charlie Kachi, but he was a singer, and his wife was Keely Smith. So I brought Jimmy back. We went, and we all met at Feinstein, and that's how Jimmy and Sonny finally met, and they became friends.
Hmm. Yeah, your story with Sonny Franzis is really closely tied together, and like you said, a lot of people, bring you up with Sonny Franzis because of your friendship for so many years. But I also, like you mentioned, read in the book about a lot of these other significant people that you met throughout your life. To back up a little bit, as a child, was there much of a mafia presence in the area in Rome, New York?
Yes, upstate New York, yes, very prevalent. Uh, particularly, Rome, New York, Utica, New York, very, very mafia presence. Actually, in Utica, New York, it was called Sin City, USA, and this really happened. Somebody, I can't remember from what state, was writing their brother or sister in Utica. Instead of putting Utica, New York, they put on the envelope Sin City, USA. Went right to Utica.
Mm, they
Yeah, in
already
the
knew
old
it.
days, it was quite prevalent. Yes, some of the best people don't realize it, but some of the best guys came from upstate New York.
Now you actually have a connection to the mafia that I think I read it was your grandfather that was somehow
Yes,
connected to the mafia. Is that
yeah.
right?
The boss in Rome, New York, was Frank Russo. He had a son, Frank Russo, who became a lawyer, and he and I became close. And it was actually Frank Russo that introduced me to all these people, except Meyer Lansky. I met Meyer Lansky on my own. It was a funny thing at the Warwick Hotel. He was in the suite above me, and we met in the lobby, and we become friends while we were in New York. And I would walk with him every evening, and because he had his dog with him, so we'd walk his dog down 54th, down to 5th, over to 57th, back up to 6th Avenue, over to the Warwick. Yeah, we did that there. Had a lot of interesting talks with him. Very intelligent guy.
Yeah, Meyer Lansky is known to be very secretive and private. What were some of the things that you talked to him about?
Well, it was really funny because at the time that he was there, they were just approving gambling in Atlantic City. So you could figure out why he was there.
Right.
If it had something to do with gambling, Meyer was at the forefront of it.
Speaking about your grandfather connected to that life, um, I read that your grandparents actually forbid your parents from getting married because of your because of that connection to the mafia. Is
That was my mother's parents.
okay.
Yeah. Uh, they were against the marriage, but they ended up loving my father. My father, back in those days, I'm Calabrian,
Hmm.
and the stronghold for the Calabrian mafia was Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And my father used to go there quite often. Uh,
Now,
I
did your
learned
father
that
have any connection to
my
that?
father had connections, but it's not like he was in it,
Right.
you know, because of his father, he had the connection. His
Right.
father was the main man. Frank Russo, who was a lawyer, when he was a kid, on Saturday mornings, his father would have a meeting in his cellar, with all the guys. Frank Russo Sr. was the boss. And Frank said, my grandfather was there every Saturday.
Wow.
And my grandfather, they came over from Calabria, just like a lot of the Italians, came over at that period of time. He died just before I was born, so I never got to know him.
Now you're known for your connections to the mafia. A lot of people associate you with the mafia or organized crime. You alluded to this a minute ago, but you really didn't start out in that direction. You joined the military, you got married, and had a legit career. You mentioned the insurance business. What exactly were you doing during that time?
I was selling insurance, building up multi-million-dollar business back in those days. I had over 250 automobile dealers as clients. I had a training program. I was the pioneer in the automobile after-sales market. As you know it today, you walk into a dealership to buy a car. The guy that takes you for a ride in that car is the demo guy, not really a salesman. When you like the car and he brings you back to the dealership, he'll say, meet my finance manager, business manager. And that's the guy who will sell you the car, put the credit, life, and accident and health insurance in case you die. The car is paid off. You become sick or disabled, your payments are made. They put a paint sealant, a rust proofing, car alarm, you name it, they keep adding. Only $1 a month more, $2 a month more. It seems like nothing until the end. And I trained them. I had a school. I bought an old schoolhouse in Rome, New York, which was converted to offices in my school, where we brought them in and trained them.
When did you start getting into some credit card fraud and some stuff like that? I read that you kind of started getting into certain checks and credit cards. When did that start?
Well, cutting checks in those days was a very simple thing. Because you could write me a check and it wouldn't clear for 2 weeks, even if the other bank was just across the street from that bank. So me and my cousin used to do that. We bought a lot of real estate, floating check. I would write the down payment, apply for the loan. 2 weeks later, my cousin write me a check to cover my check. And then I'd give him and vice versa until we closed on the home. Once we closed on the home, then we went to another bank, got a second mortgage on the house, and stopped the flow. So that worked out well. I moved to California in 1971. And I met a kid, his name we went by Dan Gold. He had Gold, Goldsmith, Goldstein. He had several names. But we started doing credit cards out here. And in those days, we knew the amounts before you had to call it in. And so we loaded up. We go in. We buy 3 bottles of scotch, and boom, boom. And we go. We get every liquor store. Remember, in the valley, in the San Fernando Valley, on Ventura Boulevard. Then we sell the liquor, and then airline tickets. We would get airline tickets, TVs. I remember one day we had a TV in the trunk of the car. And we went, there was an American Airlines on a corner of Hollywood and Vine in the office. Across the street was a drugstore that also sold books. So Dan went in, and it's really funny, which is very rare what happened. But we bought airline tickets to New York round trip. And he gets one girl on the phone. Then when he goes to the office to buy another set of tickets, he happens to get the same girl. It's just one of those flukes. And I can remember I was in that drugstore waiting for Dan. He came running out of there, and our car was parked over in the parking lot in Vine. We rented a car and boom, back out to the valley. Yeah, we never got caught on it, but those we did. We banged out a lot of credit cards.
Yeah, I thought it was funny where you mentioned in the book that your wife actually opened a bill one time from a credit card, and
We used my own. We used my own credit cards. Yeah, she opened. She almost had a heart attack. What is this?
and you told her that somebody had stole your card or something.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? I got to tell you this here, and I don't know how they do it with credit cards today, but they're good. I use my American Express over at the Mayborn. One morning, I buy an espresso, $4 or $5. Next day, I'm sitting here and I'm checking my American Express, and there's charges coming up from ladies' clothing stores in Miami. I go, what the hell? I got my card with me.
Right.
Okay. That's how good they are. I mean, American Express took care of it right away. I just had another situation with American Express. Somehow they got my American Express, put it on my wallet through Google Play. They opened a Lyft account, driving all over town using Lyft account in my name with my credit card. American Express caught it. Thank God. You know, I'm still waiting for that card. I wrote Michael Franzese. Michael and I, we talk occasionally, you know.
Right.
And I wrote him. I says, just imagine if we had this technology when we were on the streets. I would have hired a lot of young kids that have been hacking everybody. We would have made millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's you know, in your day you talked about cashing checks and credit cards and doing everything kind of in person, and nowadays everything is so sophisticated with these credit cards that, you know, everything's done on the internet, and you know, they can get your information, and there's so much fraud going on. I hear about it all the time. And it's just, you know, a few dollars here, a few dollars there, or a charge here. And a lot of people don't catch it. Like you went back and was looking over the bill. A lot of people don't catch it. So, you know, they never find out about it. Hopefully, like you said, the credit card company eventually hopefully finds out about it, but it goes on all the time. It's very sophisticated nowadays.
Yeah, you got it. You know, this advice to anybody. Check your credit card statements every single day. You just don't know. I mean, here it is. I have an espresso. And then the next day, my card is being used in Miami. Now, how they do it, I don't know. They make up the cars and this and that. They, you know, I'm not a tech guy. I could never do that.
Right. Now, you mentioned this just a minute ago, but you ended up moving to California. What led to you leaving the East Coast and moving to California?
Well, even as a child, I always wanted to get out of rural New York. It's very cold there in the winter. You don't see the sun that often. And at the age of 13 was the first time I got 12 or 13 when I first got to see New York City with my parents. And I loved the high-rise building. I loved the cars on the street. I loved the activity. But I always loved the sun. And having joined the Army, I ended up taking my basic training down in Georgia, and then ended up in the 25th Infantry Division in Hawaii. And I just love the sun. Today it's cloudy. We got rain coming again. But, you know, California, we have great weather here. I love it. I just like being in the sun. It makes me happy.
Right. Yeah, the sun's good for you. Um, so you lived in California for several years and was a successful businessman. Uh, you came back to New York to take care of some things, and you end up, you mentioned this a minute ago, you met Frank Russo, which was an attorney. Through your relationship with Frank Russo, you ended up meeting some pretty notorious people, Frank Costello, Russell Buffalino. How did you meet, to start with, how did you meet Frank Costello?
We met him at the Warwick Hotel. Frank had to see him on some business. That's how I was introduced to him. They spoke in Italian. I don't understand Italian. Unless I'm in Italy, I do. But I remember I was looking at all the girls and Frank put his hand on my shoulder. Should always be a gentleman. He was quite a man. Met with him a couple times with Frank. Dapper, very influential. This was a guy that he talked with presidents of our country. Politically, this guy was powerful. He ran Tammany Hall in New York. It was a big political machine.
Now, also Russell Buffalino. How did you come in contact with him?
Once again, that's with Frank Russo. The first time I ever met Russell was he had a restaurant that he ate off in New York on 40-something Street called DeMarco's. And we had lunch with him. And it wasn't too long after that he ended up getting arrested in Pennsylvania, and they were transported into New York. And there was a stop at Oneida County, and they had him in the jail at Oneida County, which is Rome, New York. And of course, you know, it's run by the sheriff's department. Once again, Frank Russo had that place locked up. Frank and I would go there in the evening with spaghetti and meatballs and things and bring it to Russell Buffalino to eat. And, you know, we were always there for each other.
Right. As you mentioned a minute ago, Frank Russo would on many different occasions intervene on behalf of different people, saving people's lives in some cases. Did learning from him help you later when it came to becoming a fixer in Hollywood?
You know, it's really funny. It was through Frank Russo and Lou Perry that I ended up meeting Sonny Franzese. And how that transpired, and it's in my book, and was Walter Feisen, who owned Polyglycol. Now, Polyglycol was a paint sealing company. No need to ever shine your car again. Guaranteed for 3 years. It was sold strictly to automobile dealers. And Walter had a brother-in-law that he gave, it was Nassau, Suffolk County. I can't remember which one. And their brother-in-law happened to be brother-in-laws with Michael Franzese. And what happened was Walter's office was in Tarrytown. And, you know, he gives a 3-year warranty when you buy it. But warranties that he never issued started popping up. And what happened, they robbed them from the bottom of the pile, and they were selling another product that was inferior product, but saying it was polyglycol. And Walter was getting claims. So when Walter found out about it, of course, he was going to take away the distributorship. And then he started getting death threats. And I had a condo in Pompano Beach, Florida. By this time, Walter had one in Boca Raton. He called me up, told me he's getting these death threats. And I just laughed at him. I said, pay no attention. Nobody's going to call you up and threaten you.
Yeah.
If somebody's going to kill you, they're just going to kill you.
Right.
So, so then he asked me to go fly back to New York to close the Cadillac dealer in New York City, Victor Patakin, who was the largest Cadillac dealer at the time. And we did. We closed the deal, and then we went to Club 21 in New York for lunch. This is in the days before, before these technology we got.
Right.
And Walter went to the payphone to call his office, came back white as a ghost. He says, son, he said, kid. He always called me kid. He said, I know you're wired in. You got to stick around and find out where it's coming from. So I called Frank. He told me to call Lou Perry. Lou Perry was a friend of ours. Lou Perry was a casting agent. And he's the guy who actually discovered Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis.
Okay.
And Lou called me up and said, I'm picking you up at 7. We're going to go have dinner with somebody. He picked me up and we went to a restaurant on 2nd Avenue, Trattoria Siciliana, which was owned by Sonny Franzese, son-in-law, Eugene. Sonny was there with his wife, Christina, his daughter, Tina, his daughter, Gina, and Johnny, his son. And I'm sitting next to Sonny, Lou Perry sitting next to him. We whispered and we were eating. I ate some fish. Sonny took my office phone number and my phone number in Florida and said he would check into it and get back to me. That's when I got sick I got allergic reaction to the fish. Now I want to put this out here. There's a gal who wrote a book called Sonny named Sandy Petty.
Right. I have some questions about that.
She calls herself an investigative reporter. Well, she don't investigate nothing. She says Sonny was trying to poison me. Now, does that make any sense at all? That's the first time I ever meet him. He doesn't know who the hell I am.
Right.
Why is he going to try to poison me? Okay. So it makes no sense. But, Sonny, everything Sonny told her was bullshit. But she don't realize that. So she writes what she writes. But anyway, and, she said I never knew Sonny. Sonny didn't like me. Yeah, he didn't like me. That's why we were talking right up to this day, his death. That's why we were in prison together. Okay. That's why we got indicted. Okay.
Now, Sonny Franzis, a significant figure in the world of organized crime. I read in the book about a sit down with you and Sonny and Michael was there. I think it was the first time you met Michael Franzis. Can you talk about that sit down and what transpired during that meeting?
Well, what transpired after that dinner with Sonny, I flew back to Florida, but I was taking over the 5 boroughs, so I was moving back to New York. I took 2 weeks with a gal who became my second wife. 2 weeks. Took our time driving back to New York. Now, Sonny was trying to call my office, and every day I would call my office to check in, and my secretary would say, you get a call, somebody asked for you. I ask who's calling, they hang up. I got no idea what that is. When I hit Utica, New York, and I'm checking into the Ramada, and I put it there, the bellman's bringing our bags to the room. Nobody knows where I'm at. And the phone is ringing in the room. I'm thinking that phone call, it's got to be for whoever the previous guest was. But it kept ringing. I finally pick it up. It's my friend Tommy DeMar. He said, where you been? You got to be in New York Monday. You and Frank. I said, how the fuck do you know? He said, never mind. You know where I was going to be. But anyways, and that's, on Monday, Frank and I were in New York, and we met with Sonny Franzese at the Russian Tea Room. I had to get Walter. He had his son Michael, and we were in the first booth on the left before the Russian Tea Room even opened up that day, and had that sit down. That's how I met Sonny. I said something to him. You're doing a sit down. One thing you got to learn is keep your mouth shut. But I didn't think Sonny was understanding something.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to put it in terms that I felt he would understand. And boy, the coldest freaking look you ever saw. And I was sitting directly across from him. Went right through me. He said, don't think for one moment that I don't understand what's going on here. You keep your mouth shut. You're young. I'm going to forget this.
Did you realize at the time how powerful he was as an underboss?
No, honest to God, I did not really realize how powerful Sonny Franzese was. Okay. And then it was after that meeting where, basically both sides walked away happy. Michael walked away happy, and me and Walter walked away happy. All right. Basically, it was more sided with us, than Michael. But it was a good Sonny. You go to sit down with Sonny, you're never going to lose. But when we left, we're standing in front of the Russian tea room. Sonny grabs me by the arm, walks me down to the corner, 57 and Broadway. He says, kid, you got a lot of balls. I like you. You're with me. From now on, you got a problem anywhere, you tell people you're with me. And I want you and your family in my home for Christmas. And that was the beginning of a 50-year relationship.
So you and Michael, you actually didn't get off to a very good start. And from that point, I know today you said you speak with Michael from time to time, but at the time, you really didn't get off to a good start. Is that right?
Correct.
What do you think? Was it the ruling that led to that, where Sonny was kind of leaning?
No, you know what? There's a lot of things. You got to remember something. When I was Sonny and I lived in Little Neck, Sonny lived in Rosden, which is right down the road. Me and Sonny had breakfast every morning. We were together all the time. Michael was never with us. Michael was not around. Michael was hustling, doing his thing. Michael's a very smart guy. All right. Very good money maker. No question about it. Right to this day, he still is. So it's not like Michael and I were, going out having cocktails in the evening and stuff like that there.
Right.
It was nothing like that there. And then we all know what happened with Michael. Okay. And, there's a lot of stories, a lot of information I know. And we know what happened on Vlad TV. Michael came out saying bullshit about me. And I had a lot of information. I could have buried him.
Right.
I had more information than Joey Merlino had on him. Okay.
Yeah, I know it got pretty heated there. There was a lot of back and forth there for a period of time.
Yeah. So I said, why am I doing this?
Right.
First of all these guys out there on YouTube, and they got a lot of followers, are rats. I'm not a rat.
Right.
There's a lot of things I cannot talk about.
Mm-hmm.
They got a free pass on everything. They got all the followers. And their followers thinking it's okay to be a rat. So what have they done? They're creating more rats with their followers. That's my theory.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I have my own show that I do. I began Stories with Ori. It's a variety talk show. I'm not having no gangsters on there. And the gangster thing is big. The genre in the gangster world is big.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm just not. I live the life. I know the life. I understand the life. I know the politics. I know the rules. I know everything about it. Even though I was not made, I lived my life as a made man.
Right. You mentioned your YouTube channel, and I just want to throw this in there that I've been watching your channel, and it's a lot of really good interviews on there, a lot of good guests that you have on there. So I encourage anybody watching this to go check it out because you have some really interesting people on there. But
Yeah, please do. I got one coming out. I just did Kato Kalin, from the O.J. Simpson.
uh-huh.
I got some more actors coming out. Hollywood people I do, motivational people, people that can make your life better. So if you would kindly go to Stories with Ori, please subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely go check it out. It's I've been watching it here recently. Um, Now you said you speak with Michael Franzese from time to time now. How is your relationship with him these
Me and
days?
Michael are cool.
That's good. That's good
Michael
that
and I are
you've
cool.
moved past, that back and forth.
Yeah, yeah. I ended it, and Michael and I, we started, texting each other, and now we talk occasionally. Uh, he's going on tour in London, March. In a couple of weeks, he'll be going to London. He does a tour there once a year. Uh, it's not like he and I are doing anything together, okay? But Michael has helped a lot of young people also. And he's doing a lot of good things, regardless of what people say about him. Okay. There comes a time you got to put the past in the past. And, but no, I got no problem with Michael Franzese or anybody else. And in regards, and I hate mentioning her name because I'm giving her credit when I give her name. But if you look at the back of my book, which you have there, you will read a blur by John Connolly. All right. He was author, New York Times best-selling true crime book, Filthy Rich. That was about Jeffrey Epstein. John Connolly was the biggest investigative reporter on Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
I introduced John to Sonny in New York back in 2006. Okay, because Sonny would talk like he's going to do a story, but he would never tell nobody the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Upon our release in prison, John called me and said Sonny was calling him and wanted to meet with him. He went and met with Sonny at the nursing home. He said, all right, I can't write nothing. He's not going to tell me the truth. John was astute enough to know that.
Mm-hmm.
But this girl Sandy wasn't. And even John Franzese said, Sonny treated reporters the same way he treated police, cops. He's not going to talk to them and tell them the truth. But this is Sonny and I were talking 3 times a week. He was laughing. He said, that great reporter was here. He said, I go to this, I go to that. But, she ended up writing a book like all these so-called mob historians do. They go to Google, they go to court documents, they go to old newspapers, and now they become a mob historian.
Right.
I could say things when I talk, I could say I was in the room.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference.
I've seen a few interviews with her recently, and she did spend some time with Sonny. Was you surprised that he actually spoke to her at all? I mean, that he even sat down with her?
No, you got to remember, he's 100 and something years old. He's in a nursing home.
Right.
He gets company. He wants company. Sonny was a talker. He was a very smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He enjoyed having company. He didn't give a shit who. At that age, would you put yourself at that age?
Oh, you're
Okay.
right. Yeah.
But did he tell her the truth? No. Actually, the entire family is very upset with her. I'm the only one who come out with it. But I talked with the rest of the family, the children.
Yeah, I think I saw where Michael was not happy with that book either.
No. She went on Lee Cole show.
Mm-hmm.
They think she's the gift from God.
Right.
Lee Cole and that guy that wears a hat that he's got. I can't remember his name. Another
James, I
mob
think.
historian who don't know shit.
Right.
Okay. Mistaking me for somebody else on a bankruptcy. Okay. And get your facts right if you're going to do something. I'm not after anybody. Let everybody go make $1 million on YouTube. I make money other ways.
Right.
Okay. I don't need YouTube to make me money. Yeah, I'd like to make a few bucks from it. Yeah. By the time my YouTube station becomes anything, I'll be dead. So, so I want to give people quality stuff that's going to help them make their life better.
Right.
That's what I'm out after. Okay. But anyway, going back to that there, yes. So I had to retaliate from what she said.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I got over 11,000 views just on that one alone. Now, she said Michael Franzese didn't know me. But yet, now, if you go to Stories with Ori, you will hear when Michael was the guest on the Grant Cardone show on Twitter. Now, you know about Twitter talk?
Yeah, I believe I heard what you're about to talk about. I think I heard that.
Yeah, it's on my YouTube. Okay. I was getting that night, must have got 100 texts from people telling me, come in. There were over 6,000 people. Now, in a Twitter space, only 12 people are on stage and allowed to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And boom, they brought me right up on stage immediately. And I was very cordial to Michael. I told him he was doing an awesome job. I congratulated him, which he did do a great job. Okay. And Michael did tell everybody that Ori and he and I are friends and that I know his father for a long time.
Yeah, I heard that. It was very obvious that Michael knew exactly who you was and said, mentioned the relationship you had with Sonny, and that was pretty obvious from listening to
Yeah.
that. I heard that.
So tell me what now, with that there, what's the credibility of that girl who wrote that book?
Yeah,
All
you
right.
make a
And
good point.
if I didn't know Sonny, like she said, why did she send a camera crew out here and film me for her documentary that she did on Newsday?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Why did she send if I didn't know Sonny? So she's eating her own words. She doesn't realize stuff that she's done, and then she wants to say the opposite.
Yeah.
And all I ask for these people, you want to talk, come on a show, tell the truth.
Right.
I'm going to tell you the truth, whether like it or not. I'm not here to defend myself. I know who I am. I'm comfortable in my skin. I
Right.
am who I am.
A significant thing happened in your life. You was a successful insurance salesman, but you ended up having your license taken, and that really kind of changed the course of your life. It took you out of that business that you were so successful in.
Yes.
What kind of happened? Can you explain that a little bit?
If that didn't happen, I would be a billionaire today.
Mm.
And I had the Ori agency. On paper back then, I was worth $12 million on paper with real estate, my different businesses. everything I had. And I'm going late 60s, early 70s. And I was going to bring this national. Dino De Laurentiis, film producer, was raising $12 million so I could bring this on a national basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a guy out of Syracuse, New York. I was on airplanes all the time, traveling all over the country, hustling. I hustled like crazy. And my accountant tells them about the deal. They're out with their girlfriends, they're drinking. My accountant figured because Jim was close to me, all right, that he knew about the deal I had with the insurance company. And Jim did not know it. And then he tried to use that leverage with the insurance company to give them my agency. And I got the phone call. They wanted to close me down. I was out of trust $385,000, which back then was a lot of money. But, you know, I'm looking at what's going on with Donald Trump in New York. Nobody got hurt with Donald Trump. No banks got hurt, nobody. But yet, they fined him. And that's basically the same thing that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? There was no call for an indictment. I had a deal with the insurance company. The insurance company did not get hurt. They got every penny back plus. But yet, I ended up getting a federal indictment. And I think the real reason was because at that time, I knew Sonny Franzese and Meyer Lansky. They had some wiretaps, and they tried to make it an organized crime case, but could not. And that's my belief of what really happened there. I ended up losing my license. I'm a hustler. I'm hustling today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I hustle every day, and I'm going to be 80 this December. So
Wow.
I don't slow down. I don't stop. I keep it moving. That's me. I've been doing that since I was 12 years old.
It seems like a lot of the things that you learned in the insurance business, a lot of being a salesman and all of that really stayed with you through up till now.
Well, you know, one of the things, you know, you read my book could be a motivational book.
Right.
People would, you know, how to overcome fear. All right. Create a positive mental attitude. And, you know, and I've been through all that. And, you know, I train salesmen, I train people. Some people become multimillionaires as a result of what I've done and helped them and so forth. So, you know, yeah, I was a gangster. I love being a gangster. No, don't get me wrong. But, you know, it is what it is. It was my life,
Right.
my destiny, and I take full responsibility for everything in my life, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Another person that you became close with, a mob figure named Jimmy Kachi. How did you meet him, and can you kind of tell who he was?
I actually met Jimmy Kachi. I was down in Palm Springs. I had a situation or something that I had with a certain individual, and something had to be taken care of. My dear friend, Roy Schneiderman, introduced me to Jimmy Kachi. And Jimmy Kachi was the boss of Palm Springs and the underboss of Los Angeles. And that's how Jimmy and I met. And then he and I were, we became like brothers. Jimmy would be here. I always had a 2-bedroom place, and During the week, he'd be up here, and Jimmy and I were out every day. And on weekends, I was down in Palm Springs every weekend. So it was a great relationship for many years, right up to Jimmy's death. While I was in prison, Jimmy passed away.
Mm.
And we were talking on the phone up to his death. Boy, you know what? I sit here, my friend, and I think, listen, just today, I told you about Joey Pyle
Right.
and how I talked to him before his death. I talked to Sonny Franzese before his death. I'm the one who announced Sonny's passing.
Mm-hmm.
If you check, I got the call at 4 a.m. in the morning because Sonny had passed away. I posted a thing on Instagram, a picture of me and Sonny. Vlad picked it up, and Vlad, you know who Vlad is.
Right. Yeah.
Vlad's got over 5 million subscribers. And he put it out there. Ori Spado announced the death of his friend Sonny Franzese. And the next day, a couple newspapers picked it up and said Ori Spado announced the death of his friend Sonny Franzese. And it's just funny how it happened. The next thing you know, TMZ was calling me.
Mm.
But, so I was talking to Sonny before he died, 3 days before he died. And Jimmy Kachi, I talked to him for the last time from a prison cell phone, a prison phone in Lompoc to Palm Springs, and he died day following that.
Mm. Now, you alluded to this a few minutes ago. Sonny Franzis and Jimmy Kachi were almost almost fighting over you, who you was with, and both of them offered you the opportunity to become a made man. How come that was something that you passed on?
Well, you know what? I'm going to give credit to Michael Franzese on that there. Because in Michael's first book, if I recall correctly, he wrote something about that you become made man. They put you under somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You answer to that guy. Okay? That's your boss. Okay? You got to remember, I'm a guy who knew all the bosses. I was able to call the boss. I would no longer be able to do that. I would have to go, some guy who could call me up at 3 a.m. in the morning and tell me, meet me at the diner, and I could go out and do a piece of work because he said it. Okay? Yeah. So it was something that Michael wrote in his first book, and I always felt I was a renegade. Okay? I was doing my own thing. But, when you get involved with guys like Sonny and Jimmy, I mean, the FBI had me all over the place. The FBI had me, Jimmy and I had to go around the country one time on some business. And the FBI had down that Jimmy was introducing me to everybody throughout the country because I was made. And it never happened. So, a lot of things come from the FBI, the Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney, and they're going to make stuff up what the hell they want to do.
Right.
I'm not crying about it. Look, it was my life. I did it. But, I'm not that fond of Donald Trump. Don't get me wrong. But it's obvious what the hell they're doing to him. He hurt nobody. Okay. Yeah. Nobody got hurt. But these are the laws that we have in this country. Mm-hmm. And our lawmakers are doing nothing to change these laws. They could do it to you if they wanted to tomorrow. They could do it to anybody. And these are laws that should be changed. The RICO law is illegal and unconstitutional. I did 5 years on a 924C gun charge. There's only one way, that's a minimum mandatory sentence. The only way to break that is that you are a rat. I was not a rat. I did my 5 years on a minimum mandatory.
Mm.
A few years after I was out of prison, the U.S. Supreme Court found the 924C illegal and unconstitutional. They were releasing people from prison who had that. Okay? So that's no longer on the books. But they can't give me my 5 years back, could they?
No.
No.
Yeah, I've heard many people argue that RICO is unconstitutional, and you mentioned they could do it to me or anybody. If they can do it to a former president and go after, a former president, somebody like Donald Trump, um, the average person doesn't stand a chance if the government focuses on that person. They're going to
That's
get you
right.
if they want to. We talked about Michael Franzese a little bit, but you also had a relationship with John Franzis, Sonny's other son. How did that develop? How did you become almost like an uncle to him?
Well, he did call me uncle. When Michael brought him out to California, got him an apartment in Brentwood. It was a nice apartment. And Michael was trying to help him out. And I would try to help him out. But Johnny was on drugs. And he had a thing that he would do. He would call a taxi. Taxi would pick him up here in Brentwood. Now, Brentwood is a great area of Los Angeles. And he would have the taxi cab driver driving to MacArthur Park. And then tell the cab driver, wait a minute. All right, because you got to take me back. Johnny would run in the park and score his drug that he did. And then have the cab driver drive him back and tell the cab driver, geez, I left my wallet in my apartment. All right? Let me go in. I'll come right back out. And Johnny run in, never run out, never paid a fucking cab driver. And he must have done that to 100 of them. And one night, it was a funny shit. Tina was calling me. Oh, then he would call a hooker, have a hooker over, not pay the hooker, then get me on the phone, say my uncle's going to pay you. I mean, Johnny, is a drug dealer, is a drug addict. They're conniving, they're smart. Johnny's also a smart kid.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I've seen a few interviews with him. He seems like a really nice, smart guy, but once somebody is involved with drugs and stuff, that kind of takes control of their life. But as many people know, Sonny was away for a lot of years. So you mentioned his mother, Tina, Sonny's wife, would call you a lot to intervene on behalf of John, to bail him out or to help him out with something.
She would call me, Sonny be in prison. He was in Virginia at the time, I remember. She'd have Sonny. They'd call me up. Johnny's in jail, go bail him out. I'm the guy who bailed Johnny out of jail. I'm the guy that bailed him out of problem. I try to help him. There were times that me and Michael, I can remember Michael coming up. All right, Michael and I in the car together looking for his brother because he disappeared. So, but I didn't know the Franzese family, huh?
Yeah.
Oh boy, but I never sold Johnny drugs. That's false. I kept away drug dealers, several of them. And it was me who found out that Johnny was with the government. And what happened? Sonny called me up. Johnny was working as at a drug rehab. He was in charge of it. It was off Washington Boulevard in West LA. and he was going to get a car. Sonny called me up and asked me to check the car out. I called Johnny. It was on a Friday. He said, "Yeah, Uncle, I'm going to go pick the car up, and then I'll come see you." And then he called me and he go, "I'm in Pasadena. I'm picking the car up tonight. I'm staying with some friends in the program. I'll be there tomorrow to show you the car." Next morning, no calls. I try to call Johnny. No answer. I keep trying to call. His mother's calling me. I can't get Johnny. Sonny's calling me. I can't get Johnny. I said, either could I. All of a sudden, you can't even leave a message. His message box is full. Johnny disappears. So Sonny and I talking. Sonny asked me to fly back to New York. I fly into New York. I'm at to get a suite at the Warwick. Sonny resides with me when I'm in New York. He was there. We had guys come up. We had a meeting at the Warwick. And it was at that meeting that where supposedly people got a rumor out there that Sonny gave his approval to whack his son Johnny. It supposedly took place at the Warwick Hotel there. Now I'm flying back to Los Angeles. Sonny and I, all right, I'm waiting for my driver to come to drive me to Kennedy, and waiting for Chris, who was driving Sonny at the time, to pick Sonny up. Sonny and I in front of the Warwick on 54th. I said, "Sonny, look, if you want, I know a good private investigator. I'll hire him, try to find Johnny." He says, "Nah, don't bother." He said, "Don't spend the money." And so his driver picks him up. My driver takes me to Kennedy. I check in. I go up to my gate, and I got to have it to this day. When I get to my gate, I put my check in, and then I go in the men's room to have a cigarette. I come out of the men's room. Two young guys. Orie, I look at them. I figure they're young guys. I figure maybe they're friends of my son's and they recognize me and on the same flight. Mm-hmm. And then they put out their, "We're FBI, Spado. We need to talk to you." They say, "You could stop looking for Johnny. He's with us." I said, "Well, that's good news." I said, "I'm going to tell his parents. We prefer you did not." I said, "They're his parents. They have a right to know where his son." They says, "Orie, we're giving you a chance. This is your last chance. Come work with us. Otherwise, this is going to be your last commercial flight." I said, "Gentlemen, go F yourself. I'm not working for you." They were correct. That was my last commercial flight. But I went to a payphone. I called Sonny. He was home with Christina. And I told them both that their son was on the WITSEC program. So I'm the guy who found out, who told Sonny and Chris. But I don't know Sonny Franzese, right? Somebody tell me I don't know Sonny Franzese.
It came out that John actually wore a wire against you and his father.
And others, yes.
And others that would lead to your arrest. Can you talk about that?
And you know what? Correct a lot of people, because we had over 3,500 hours, I think it was, of discovery, recorded discovery. Mm-hmm. All right. Now everybody is saying that Johnny destroyed his father, but it really wasn't Johnny. Yes, Johnny. I listened to the wiretaps. They were ridiculous. Okay. He recorded his mother and father at the dinner table. Then went up to his room singing, being happy about it. But it wasn't Johnny that really damaged Sonny. It was Guy Furtado, another informant that Sonny was proposing, was going to make, was next to Sonny every day. And he was the informant. He recorded me sitting on my couch right here, recorded me in Hialeah, Florida, when I was going to get some, slot machines made. He recorded me in front of La Mala's restaurant in New York. He wore it was in the watch. Okay. And then one time he flew out here, and Sonny said, asked me to introduce him to Johnny. Unbeknownst to me, he and Johnny already knew each other. So I called Johnny, and we meet at the Ivy restaurant on Robertson Boulevard. I'm sitting between the two of them, and they're both wired. Okay, so that's the story.
So they was both wired.
It was not, yeah, Johnny's tapes, they tried to use to give me more time. Mm-hmm. But Johnny didn't hurt me that bad. But Johnny did wear wire against me with the sheriff's department. He was an informant way before that with the sheriff's department in Los Angeles.
Okay. So he had been, this has been going on for quite a long time.
Look, this is a druggie. He was a druggie.
Yeah.
I mean, if I introduced him to you, 10 minutes later, he'd be at your door asking you for $40 because $40 was the key number. All right. And he'd go out and make his score.
Right. As I mentioned, you were eventually arrested in 2008. And you actually learned that Sonny had put a hit on you over a supposed drug deal. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. What happened when he sent Guy Furtado out here to meet with me? Okay, at the same time, there was a boy, a Jamaican boy, good kid, made a lot of money in drugs, a lot of money. Had a home up in Hollywood Hills, and his name was Ricky. He got arrested. He was in NDC, Los Angeles, and he was going to be extradited to North Carolina. He owed the Mexicans $500,000 for cocaine that was on the streets in Brooklyn. His wife came to my home with the two Mexicans, asking me if I would get the money off the streets to pay these guys. I happen to know the guys in Brooklyn that Ricky had given the cocaine to. I called them up, and what Ricky didn't understand, they were converting it to crack cocaine, so it was taking them longer to sell it. But they said, we got 100,000 ready. Guy Furtado sitting on my couch. He said, I gotta have somebody pick that up right away. Well, me, I said, all right, have your guy pick it up. Then Guy Furtado tells the Mexican that he's got a truck and that he wants them to give us 50 kilos every 2 weeks to bring to New York. And he said, everything's got to go through Orie. I never was in the cocaine business. I don't know what the fuck is 50 kilos. Right. But the money was big that he's talking about. Mm-hmm. The Mexicans were never going to give us 50 kilos on the cost until they got that money back from New York.
Right.
Which we only got the first 100 grand, and Guy did send me 50 grand of it. Okay. Of which then I gave the Mexicans half of that. I kept some for myself. I don't let money go by me without taking a piece. Okay. Just a golden rule I got.
Right.
But and then then Guy Furtado will go back to New York and talk to Michael Carapano, who was the acting captain under Sonny, and it was Sonny's nephew, and tell him all the money he's going to make with Ori on this cocaine deal. Now he's got Michael all excited about all the money. Now what's going on? It's going on. It's going on. There's no cocaine. Michael Carapano asked him, what's going on with his deal with Ori? And he said, Ori probably did the deal and is screwing us out of the money. Well, Michael gets pissed, goes to his uncle, Sonny, and instead of Sonny calling me up or sending a message like he normally would to come into New York, he gives his nephew permission to whack me. Obviously, it didn't happen. I'm married.
Right.
Who got indicted on the cocaine conspiracy? Michael and I did. And we never had one word between the two of us about it. There was no deal. It was all made up by the informant, but it became my second predicate act.
Right.
That's how the FBI works.
Yeah.
That's how the Department of Justice works.
Now, you were ultimately sent to prison. How long were you away?
5 years.
How was your time in prison?
No problem at all. Well respected. Keep your mouth shut. Do your time. Mind your own business. I was well respected because I was not a rat.
Right.
I was in general population every single place that I was in. So I had no problems in prison. It probably kept me alive because when I got to Lampo, I was walking an average of 7 miles a day. So maybe that's what kept me alive, huh? Because I never thought that I would live to age 63. But I got arrested at the age of 63. I got out when I was 68. I'm now 79.
Yeah, and as you just mentioned, in 2012, you were released, and went on to write your life story, The Accidental Gangster. We've talked about this a minute ago. You've did some pretty big interviews. What are some of the things that you're doing now? Are there any projects that you're currently working on now?
Well, within the next couple of weeks, George Gallo will be delivering me the script for the movie The Accidental Gangster. George Gallo, who did Midnight Run, Bad Boys, and several others, is writing and directing it, along with Nick Villanova of Green Book. He won Best Picture of the Year. Sean Robbins. If you want to see a great interview and learn about Hollywood, go to Stories with Orie. See that interview with Sean Robbins. He did Mortal Kombat and a whole slew of other movies. So I got a great team behind me, and working on that. I'm doing my show, and I'm doing an average. In the last month, I've been doing an average of 3 interviews a week.
Yeah, I know every time I check on there, there's always new content and some really good interviews on there. So yeah, you're doing really good on that channel. A lot of good interviews.
Thank you.
As we just mentioned, you're involved in social media. I'm just curious. We talked about him a few minutes ago and his beef with Michael. But what are your thoughts on Joey Merlino and the podcast that he's doing? Have you checked that out?
Yeah, I know Joey. Joey and I talked to a few times. I think Joey and I are the only two on YouTube who are not rats.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I asked you what did you think of him and this podcast. I wanted to get your opinion on that
I think
because of that.
Joey does a great job. He's been helping a lot of people. He's always done those things. He's given back to his community in Philadelphia. So I don't see a thing wrong with that. People want to criticize him, but yet he's done a great job. He gives bicycles and gifts to the poor people in the
Mhm.
Philadelphia area. I mean, the guy's done a remarkable job.
Yeah, I've watched it several times and really
Yeah.
enjoyed the podcast. I just wanted to get your opinion on
There,
that.
there again, now they're the same guys. They want to talk. Everybody wants to use Joey Molino's name. Why? They use Joey's name. They use Michael's name to try to get more followers, subscribers. I mean, can't they create their own content?
Yeah, right. Well, Ori, you definitely have a fascinating story. We've only just barely got into many parts of that. I know your book is full of all these stories, and if somebody wants to read your book, where's the best place that they can get that book?
Obviously, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, online, Apple, all those places. And for an autograph book, only one place to get an autograph book, and that's at my website, theaccidentalgangster.com.
And on
But yeah,
social media, are you which social media platforms are you on where people can follow you to see what you're up
which
to?
ones am I not on? I don't know a thing about technology, but my son taught me how to post, and and I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I got 2 accounts, The Accidental Gangster and Ori Spado. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, and I'm on TikTok. And I'm even on Snapchat, and I don't even know what that is. I don't even got a clue what it is.
Well, hopefully people can go on there and check you out, kind of see what you're up to. I follow you on Facebook and I always enjoy your videos. And I encourage everyone to pick up one of those books from your website. I've got mine, and you write a nice letter in there, personally sign in the copy, and appreciate that. So I encourage everyone to pick up a book, The Accidental Gangster.
Please do. And by the way, you can buy the autograph copy for the same price that you get on Amazon. So you might as well get an autograph copy
Right.
and go to my website. I thank you very much. This was a wonderful Saturday morning, my friend.
Yes, sir.
It was an honor to meet you. You're a good young man. Wish you all the best
Well, I
with
appreciate it,
everything that
and
you're
I
doing.
appreciate your time, and I appreciate you coming on here and talking just a little bit about your life story. It's fascinating. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Anytime, my friend.
All right. All right, guys. I appreciate you checking out this video. Be sure to follow Ori and check out everything he's doing. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and keep following American Made. I appreciate it.
Take care, buddy.